Hey everyone, welcome back. We just released our newest short horror film, and this one was such a unique experience, working on set and editing it especially. And overall, it was a really fun project to work on, and I'm very excited to take you guys through it. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to take you through how we made our short film, No One Hears You. Starting off with inspirations. There were a couple different ideas that really inspired me to make this video, and one of them was something that I saw a very long time ago. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was this kind of trending video of what the most silent room in the world would sound like. And it was a room that these people created. I think they worked in the field of maybe sound design or something, or music recording. And they made this large room that was full of foam that you put on walls that you speak into when recording to limit as much noise as possible. And so they made this room completely full of it. And I just remember that in the video, they were talking about how it will drive you crazy if you stay in there for too long. And if you just stay completely silent, you could just hear your heart beating and you hear your pulse. And you could even hear the blood flowing through your body. And that just seems like such a scary thing, even though it's not trying to be. And I love the subtlety of things being scary when they're not trying to be scary. And it's that same idea of using mundane things, but turning them into something scary, which is something that we tend to do a lot. And so this felt very in tune with what we do, but I knew that this would be a new execution of something we've never done before, and just a really unique idea that I don't think has really been done before. I definitely took a lot of these ideas into consideration, like hearing your blood flowing, which is something that we did in the scenes like this, where we see the veins running up her arm. And the constant heartbeat that plays throughout the really suspenseful scene, I think really works. And when you kind of start paying attention to that, maybe you don't realize it at first, but you're going to start hearing it, and it starts pumping more. And it goes from about, maybe 80% speed all the way up to 300% speed. And that's more of an editing thing, but, the actual speed that the heart rate is going, it went up to 300. So really that's that feeling of being very nervous. And I wanted to channel that through the character's emotions there. And it's also something that the audience can feel when watching this. After doing the last stop, I realized how effective a small location can be and how terrifying it could be, because there's just this fear for a lot of people of being in a confined space. And that's really what this Room of Wonders is supposed to be. I think for everyone, no matter who goes in there, it just plays on your fears. And for her, this might have been one of her fears of, being in a claustrophobic space, but being in that white, perfect small space, there's just something really terrifying about it. It's really just creepy, I think. I really just want to play on anxiety with this and the fear of silence and being alone. And I think everyone could relate to this, but if you've ever been in a bathroom alone and there's like one of those fans, if you kind of just zone out and don't make any noise, you start to just hear that. And it almost feels like it's too loud for your ears. It's like just pulsing into your ears, and it's really just anxiety inducing. And that's really what this was kind of trying to play on. I think overall it really delivers in that anxiety inducing state, and it makes you feel that claustrophobia and that anxiety, and really for the character, that's what she's feeling. When casting for this role, I knew we needed a strong lead, because this actress would need to carry the film a lot just based on their facial expressions, since obviously we wouldn't be able to hear anything. So looking through these auditions, the main one that stood out was Samantha, because she delivered on both the fear but the excitement of the room at first, and it really worked and translated well to when we were filming. And, we even talked about the audition on set. And, I was like, think back to when you did that, when you started off kind of excited about the room and then go into this fear about it. And I think she really delivered in that. I think compared to a lot of the other scripts that we send out to actors to audition for, this might have been a more challenging one, because just going based on that script, you're kind of reading it and thinking, "Oh, I'm not speaking here." And so a lot of our roles kind of fall on that physical acting, but this was kind of over the top for that, where you're completely physical and your facial expressions were so important for this. And I really think that Samantha delivered on all this, on all surfaces and all aspects of it. And as an actress, she was super aware and even reminded me a couple of times of things that we may have been forgetting on set, which was super awesome. And action.
Help! No!
Light! So, the sound design. This was probably not the hardest sound design I've ever had to do. I've definitely had more complicated sound design situations, like The Last Stop, for example. But this one was very unique because, obviously this room is not supposed to produce sound. But I wanted to make sure that the audience was comprehending that. And I knew that I wanted to have this kind of drone-like feel to the room that, like I said, kind of playing on that idea of when you're just in a room by yourself and the sound of silence is just blaring in your ear. And to accomplish this sound, I actually did a really cool technique that I thought up myself. I recorded straight into my phone doing this kind of weird breathing effect, and I held that out for as long as I could. And then when editing, I slowed it down to about 20 to 30%, and I kind of looped these over and over, and I added a low pass effect. That way it would sound very muffled. And for every time that she claps her hand or shouts or bangs the wall, the sound just gets louder. And I think it worked because we didn't actually hear the sounds of the room, but this is in sync with all the sounds she's making. So it feels like the sound she would be making, but it's just entrapped in that room, and it's still the same blaring sound, but it just gets a little louder when she does that. It definitely was a meticulous process to make this happen, but I hope you guys watch with headphones or with nice speakers, because it is really cool sound design. Frank, as always, did the score for this one, and we went a pretty cool route with this one. I told him that I wanted some metallic and scraping sounds and just random sounds that would kind of appear on and off and just make you feel on edge. And I love the score he made. And it was fun to actually have Frank make a little cameo in this film in the beginning, since he's kind of coming back on set, which, if you don't know, he's not on set that much anymore since he does a lot of scoring for work. But it was cool to have him back on set for this one.
Hey guys, it's BHP's resident stuntman and lightman, Preston. And I'm going to take a bit of a different approach to talking about the lighting for No One Hears You. Instead of talking about the specific light setups, I'm going to talk about the ideas that influence them. The film starts out with our protagonist in line at some sort of circus or theme park, so I set a couple different lights up as kind of outdoor street lamps, and another one flashing different colors, alluding to there being other attractions. Once inside the room, we wanted it to feel like an insane asylum, just a bright white room. So all I did there was set up a light super bright up to over top. So all I had to do there was set up a bright light over top of everything, lighting the entire scene, and we got plenty of bounce inside the room because the white reflects and bounces the light everywhere. Once she's transported to the other dimension, those hallways, It was meant to be basically pitch black. Of course, you can't really see much that way, so I softly lit a section of the hallway she was in so that we could see, and it provides some depth to the hallway as well. And that's really about it. This was a fun one to make, and I hope you liked it. I'll see you next time.
To make the shots where it felt like the tunnel was completely endless and everywhere you looked was this tunnel, we did a really simple effect where I just made a couple whip pans. I made a whip pan left, and then I moved all the way to the right, and then did another whip pan to the left, and this made that circular feel. And connecting them in After Effects was pretty simple since there's a lot of darkness going on, and overall I think it's a super cool shot. So while shooting this film, the structure that we did was shooting everything first before Samantha got in makeup, and then having her get in makeup, which meant that everything in the tunnel where she's looking at this different version of herself, we shot first. So we already had her in the makeup, and my initial plan was to get this kind of snap back to reality where after she sees the dead version of herself, she would be back in the white room and she would now look like that dead version of herself. But when we did the shot, it just wasn't quite working, and after kind of showing it to Frank and Preston, we all just agreed that it didn't look quite right. And there's just some things that you can't get 100% perfect with practical effects. And so, although it is a really cool shot and you see the detail of the makeup, something was just off about it and it just looked a little tacky. And so we decided to go with the simpler ending, which sometimes the simpler ending just works better. So I think overall it's okay that we went with this ending. But for anyone curious, this is what the ending looked like with those shots in it. I thank you guys so much for watching this video. These making-ofs are always fun to make. And stay tuned because in 2 weeks from this video being released, we are dropping our newest short horror film, The Butler. This one is super cool, super scary, a bit longer than usual, and I think you guys are going to like it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, that's a challenge now. Yeah, come on. No.